of the Syrian.
And let me tell you.
It's different from the general immigration problem.
No, let me tell you the composition of that population. You have some people in Syria who are helping the U.S. You have people who are serving with U.S. military.
I agree.
And if you leave them there, you have all the women. You have the sick, the disabled. You have young children. Now, you have to make that distinction. The U.S. that is going to take 200,000 immigrants for that, they know what, I mean, the vetting process is really, really serious.
Yes, but when they did the vetting, my little friend, when they did the vetting, Turkey refused to allow those people that they have vetted and accepted to leave Turkey to come to U.S. They said that the manner of vetting was not acceptable.
You see,
let me ask a question here. From the way you're speaking, Mr. Chukwuemeka, it seems you agree that the U.S. should be cautious, in letting migrants come into the country.
And they're already cautious.
Okay, so if you're saying that,
they're already cautious.
If you're saying
even
that,
Obama.
Now, if you're saying that, what is so wrong then about what Donald Trump said?
I have answered it, and I need to say it again. Donald Trump went over the board. As we speak now, there are other countries like Bulgaria, Greece. All of them have measures concerning immigrants. But you don't come out and say that you'll be doing religious profiling. I mean, because by the time you take that measure, you would have gone beyond. In fact, it is against the United Nations Charter. It is against all international conventions, because you have come onto an issue that has to do with human rights.
So in other words, you're saying Donald Trump's problem is that he's not a hypocrite.
He's not a hypocrite, and again, he was speaking ignorantly, because when you are making a promise that will affect other countries, you must remember that your country is a signatory to the United Nations Charter. What Donald Trump was saying is against the provisions of the United Nations Charter.
But he wasn't ignorant.
He
wasn't ignorant. It was a dog whistle to certain segment of the society to get their support.
I know that
he knew all those things.
Article 2, paragraph 7 provides for sovereignty. But in applying sovereignty, you don't apply it in such a way that you will go, because of the principle of international law, that pacta sunt servanda, agreements are meant to be kept. You have agreed to obey, to comply with the international rules and regulations governing migration, refugee status, and all that. United States of America is a signatory to many of these international conventions. So for Trump to begin to make promises that will negate those international conventions, international treaties that the United States has signed, Trump is strong. But to that extent that you need to protect yourself internally, the United States under Obama, not even under Trump, had to decide, we use this yardstick to accept some of these refugees. Turkey said, since many of these refugees you want to take are on our soil, we will not allow them to leave, because we don't like the yardstick that you have used to take them to your country.
Well,
that is the issue. It's not that the United States does not want to take refugees or migrants. They brought a yardstick that Turkey rejected.
And I understand that. But what I'm saying, in essence, is this. Donald Trump knew all those things that you were saying. But he was preaching to certain segment of the society. Those who hate Muslims, those who hate minorities, those who hate immigrants. That's why he said what he said. We're going to ban it. And they all say, yeah. They all cheered. No, he knew that he could not just wipe away agreement. I mean, We just call him a smart businessman here. We call him a successful businessman. But he knew all those things. It was a dog whistle to some people to get support, okay, to boost his support. Oh, let's ban immigrants. Look, I live in there. I can tell you, when you see a Muslim coming in some community, when you see a Muslim, they're like, oh God, terrorist. They don't even wait. They say terrorist. Just like when you see a black man coming to
society has this
line. But what I know, I agree with you, my learned brother. All I'm saying is, Donald Trump is not about treaty or he doesn't know. He knew it. He was preaching to certain choir. He was rallying people up. He was looking for support in certain segment of the society. And that's what he was trying to do. And all those things that he was saying were actually not true. There was no government policy that said we're going to open the borders and then people were just going to rush in. Of course not. I mean, and you've got to look at Turkey. People can walk from Syria and just enter Turkey.
You can't do nationalist movement.
Exactly.
That nationalism led to Brexit. That nationalism produced Duterte in Philippines. That nationalism, Leroy in France.
But that's what he's trying to do.
In many countries, nationalist feelings have reared this ugly head. That is what you are seeing in the US. But in any case, Americans, being an immigrant country, they are not yet ready for that message, majority. And that's why Trump will lose this
I don't even think at any point
Trump will lose this election because Americans are not yet ready for that nationalist message.
Okay, I think we'll have to wait and see how the U.S. elections play out before we say for certainty he's going to lose and he's going to win.
Well, he's following that.
Well, talking about who will win or who will lose, I mean, it's not for us to say. I mean, some surprises have been sprung. For instance, the United States of America couldn't have believed that they were ready for a black president, but then we did have one. Now, with his second term coming to an end in January, U.S. President Barack Obama is preparing to leave the White House. He is the son of an African. His father was Kenyan, and many in Africa consider Obama one of their own. So after 8 years in office, what will be the president's legacy on the continent? From Nairobi, Voice of America's Jill Craig has the story.
Hopes were high in Africa when President Barack Obama took office. Perhaps too high, suggests Kenyan political commentator Barack Muluka.
We in Africa were looking up to him to come with a magic wand to solve our problems, and I think our expectations were misplaced. He was not the president of Africa. He has been the president of the United States of America, elected by American citizens, and his foreign policy will be governed first and foremost by American interests.
As president, Obama made 4 trips to sub-Saharan Africa, visiting 6 countries. He has challenged African governments on issues like human rights. He set the tone during his first visit in 2009 to Ghana when he said Africa doesn't need strong men, it needs strong institutions. A highlight of his Africa foreign policy has been his emphasis on trade, not just aid.
I think President Obama built a framework for the U.S. corporate sector to get engaged with Africa by consistently engaging through the business councils and so forth. It sort of de-risked Africa in a lot of U.S. corporate minds, and I think that was an important achievement that the president made.
Obama also made a point of addressing African youth, a group he focused on throughout his time in office. Here he is in Kenya in 2015.
And when it comes to the people of Kenya, particularly the youth, I believe there is no limit to what you can achieve.
And Obama's message of hope to Africa and its young people may be what defines his legacy here.
He's shown Africa a higher path, and I think he's done this generally. That's been his politics, that he's always lifted people's heads up and says, look where you can go.
Obama launched the Young African Leaders Initiative in 2010 to help promising young people across the continent prepare for leadership positions. More than 250,000 people have joined the Yali network so far, and in 2016, 1,000 fellows attended leadership programs at U.S. colleges and universities.
Well, talking about the Obama, the legacy of the Obama president on Africa.